A little bit of crazy, but a whole lot of right. You're listening to the Average Joe Podcast with Damon Gilbert.
Do me a favor, if you would. Right below down here, you know the rules and you know the procedure. Like and subscribe. It really doesn't take but a second, and it helps me out tremendously. It's YouTube's currency, so I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Hello, everyone. How you doing? We're going to talk about several things today. I want to get right into it. One is, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is making a visit to China. It's a big deal. I mean, we got to get and talk to the bad guys, right? Xi's going to be there. It's going to be really interesting because you've got the Iran conflict going on. Where does China get all their fuel from, all their petroleum? The vast majority that comes from Iran or Venezuela. Guess who the two countries that we've decided to duke it out with? Venezuela and Iran. So he's there on, I don't know. I guess this has been planned for probably a year or better. But I just wanted you to remember, if you can remember back during the Barack Obama administration, do you remember the trip that he took to China where nobody showed up at the airport? They sent some lackey to meet Barack Obama. You remember that? No red carpet, no bands playing, nothing. They were basically like, the pool boy's here, let him in and, let him do his work. That's basically what it was. It was a slap in the face to the United States in my book. I've never forgiven China for that. The hell with those people. But nonetheless, Donald Trump has to talk to these people. He has to go over there, try and make some kind of trade deal with Xi, who, by the way, kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh. Have you ever noticed that? He does. So I'm not a big fan of his. I think he's a corrupt leader. I think he's a horrible person. But nonetheless, he's in charge. What are you going to do? So you got to deal with this. So Trump's over there. Now, mind you, like I said before, Obama went over during his tenure, and they treated him like he was a second-class citizen. It was a shot at the United States. They didn't care he was there. They made no big deal out of it. But here is I'm gonna play this for you, a little clip of Trump arriving in China last night, and it's pretty interesting actually, just to see the comparisons. Look at this. Look at this. Hundreds of people there. Red carpet. He's got what? 20 people up there he's got to shake hands with. They're making a big deal out of it. Looks completely different than when Barack Obama was there. What's that tell you? What's that tell you? China respects this guy. They may not like him, but they respect him. And that's all you gotta have. Someone to respect you. Nothing more. We don't have to be friends. He says, Trump always says he's got a great relationship with Xi. I don't know how you would do that. Imagine trying to have a relationship with someone where you can't speak the language. That would be tough, wouldn't it? It would. So, besides the obvious, we don't like them. They're communists. Why we're doing any kind of business with them is beyond me. I mean, if you want to get it down in the dirt and talk about it, I don't think Trump should be over there. But it doesn't matter what I think. It really doesn't. You have to, I guess, talk to these people at some level because you've got Taiwan, you've got the South China Sea you're dealing with. You're talking about trade. There's a lot going on. Now, see, listen to this. Listen to this. A lot better, isn't it? I kind of like this greeting. Yeah, makes me feel good. It does. Let's move on. Here's what I want to talk to you today about, and let me turn this off. What I really want to talk to you today about is I want to give the Democrats a little bit of advice because I saw and I've always been not a fan of this guy, but I've respected this guy. And he's done some interviews here lately, and he's made some decisions that I fully agree with. So if I could give the Democrats any kind of advice for the 2028 election, presidential election, I would say, you really need to rethink this. You need to find someone in your group, in your party, who's not a lunatic. Okay? Now, that's going to be hard to do. The vast majority of them are lunatics. But there are occasionally someone who comes out who's a little more level headed. Okay. And that's who you got to find. Because at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, whose votes are you after? Whose votes are you after in a presidential election? You're not after your base. I mean, you got to have them to get there, but I mean, you're probably going to get them. You're not going to get the lunatic left ever. I don't care who you run. You could run Christ himself. They wouldn't vote for him. Who you wanting? You're wanting the independents. That's who you want. The guy that's in the middle. The guy that's voted Republican and Democrat, depending on who's in charge and who's running. He's the kind of guy that's got a little bit of common sense and says, you know what? This guy on this side, it doesn't matter. Party affiliation doesn't have anything to do with it. They're all the same anyway. This guy makes sense. That's who you got to get. That's why Trump won back in 2015 when he was running. The reason I even took a look at him, I mean, I thought he was a joke, but then I heard him speak and I thought, this guy is all right. This guy talks like I do. This guy has thoughts like I do. And he says it out loud. It makes perfect sense to me. So what would my advice be for the Democratic Party? We're going to talk about something here in a few minutes. There are several viable candidates, okay, as far as the left is concerned. Probably number one is Gavin Newsom. Well, he's probably plays along probably the same level as Kamala Harris. Okay. You've got Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Buttigiggity giggity, and you've got AOC, Alexandria Cortez. The congressman from the Bronx and I believe Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken. You've got those four people. None of those people can beat a viable Republican. I'm sorry. There's no way they can. Gavin Newsom has destroyed California. I mean, he can't run on a record of any kind. He's torn California apart. California will be a generation recovering from his tenure. You've got cackling Kamala, who lost the last one. And believe me, in the United States, people in the United States, Americans don't like losers. They don't. Kamala's out. You've got, I guess I could add a couple of more. You get J.D. Pritzker from Illinois. Sorry. Same thing that Newsom's got. J.D. Pritzker's ruined Illinois. Plus, a fat guy's never going to be president of the United States. Obesity off the table. He's not going to do it. Then you've got AOC. AOC. Now, believe me, I don't think God's got that great of a sense of humor. I really don't. But it would be great if she did run. It would be great for me. It would be great for every comedian, every podcaster, every content creator, anybody on YouTube. She is gold. She's so stupid. So, is that possible? Of course it's possible. Anybody can run for president. But who's got a viable shot at it? Who would be the person that you would think, if the Democrats use their head, and I'm telling you, this is not a secret. It's not like I'm giving you the codes to the nuclear bombs, okay? This is out in plain sight. Who would be the best person to run if I were running the Democratic Party? I would run John Fetterman. John Fetterman. Let me play something here for you, because let's see. There we go. Well, listen to this.
Do you think this is the issue that made people sort of turn on you? I saw recently reports you had, I think your chief of staff quit on you and started talking shit about you.
Yeah.
And we know.
Now, first of all, chief of staff quits on you. So what? These people, the people that work for you, and believe me, I'm not trying to defend this guy, but that's a stupid thing to bring up. I read that they think that he can't get along with anyone, so his chief of staff quit. People in these positions, they're always looking to better themselves. They'd slit your throat. They thought they could get a leg up on somebody. So that means nothing.
You made no secret of it. In fact, you purposely publicized it so that people would take inspiration from it, that you had a stroke, you had issues with depression. And it seemed to me like they were sort of weaponizing that to say you'd gone crazy. And I did smell kind of a rat here when I read that you were driving recklessly.
Now, again, I'm not going to dive too far into this, but if I'm starting to agree with Bill Maher, the Democrats have got some problems. If I'm agreeing with him, and what he just said was 100% correct.
And too much time on Twitter and megalomania. I'm like, So defend yourself here, John. I mean, I don't think you're crazy. You don't seem crazy, and I have certainly seen people who refuse to go all the way with the purity lovers on the left suddenly castigated and cast out and attacked like this. So is that what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Parts of my party just wants to turn me into a Colonel Kurtz, and just claim that it's like, I'm just like
you look like you could play the part.
Really, that would happen, after Israel and if the border, and some of the times I might have to disagree with my party, and that's really brought us to that place where just that kind of a canceling was a little bit a different thing, but now we've all moved on from that. But absolutely, that's the truth.
Some of the things they said were that you weren't showing up, and then I read further and read what you said about it, and it seemed like you weren't showing up for bullshit. That a lot of what the senators are required to do just doesn't matter. You don't really have to be there.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is called bed check. What is that?
Yeah, bed check vote. It's like these votes really doesn't matter. That's why they're called bed check. It's just like you had a choice. It's like they were just procedural thing. And I
got to tell you right there, he's 100% correct. If you know anything about the Senate and the way Congress runs, you don't have to be there for probably the vast majority of what goes on there. You really don't. You really don't. I mean, he shows up for 90% or better of the votes. I have no problem with that. They're just picking out a few things because they want to they want to put this guy in his place because he's not playing ball with them. Okay. He's looking at the Democratic Party and going, hey, this stuff you're doing right here, this doesn't make any sense. We're not going to do that. So he votes against his party on occasion, which I respect him for. I respect this guy. He's come back from a brain injury. He had a stroke. He kind of looks like people I know. You know what I mean? He's not there in a suit and tie. This is the same guy that used to wear gym shorts to Congress. They had to change the rules to make him so he'd dress up. I mean, you got to kind of hand it to him. He's got tattoos. Why would you not at least, I guess, entertain the possibility? I'm not saying you got to vote for him, but wouldn't you entertain listening to this guy's positions on something? I would. I'm fascinated by this guy. I really am. He's pushing back against his party, a party that has lost its way. There's no doubt about it. The Democratic Party has lost its way. Anyone today in this environment who is a diehard Democrat, someone who won't even entertain the other side's views, is completely off the ranch. I mean, they really are. I'm not saying they're crazy, but they're not paying attention. So I want you to listen a little bit more of this. It's pretty interesting.
Took the opportunity to spend an extra day with my young children and that. So now that's not, and I've made 90% of the votes. So none of them were determinative. So for me, people in the Senate have missed more votes than I did, but they weren't breaking the kind of rules that I've been. So they kind of used that to weaponize that in a very cynical way.
they also seem to go after you because you will talk to the other side.
Exactly.
You talk to Trump. We all know
We
that's
wouldn't
bad.
want to talk to Trump. My God.
Well, we're one of the few people that actually have dinner with Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also, I think,
Explain
I
to
don't
me
know,
what's
if you
wrong
had
with
dinner
that.
with Steve Bannon.
What's wrong with talking to the other side? Isn't that what you're there for? That's why I have so much trouble with the Democrats anymore. And I used to be one, but I can't be a party to this. Not anymore. Not a chance. I can't do it. This guy, if the Democrats were smart, which they're not, and they'll never do it, but if they were asking me, I'm telling you, this is your guy right here. John Fetterman. He's got a great story. He does. He's logical. He makes sense. Now, he's still a Democrat at the bottom line, and I'm not going to vote for him. But at least I'm going to listen to his side. I don't hate him because he's that way. That's what I think we need to do. We need to get together and talk occasionally. Listen to the rest of this.
But he was at your table or something at a restaurant that MAGA people go to. It's like, well, what are we, in high school now? You can't sit at the same lunch table with these people?
Oh, I wasn't even having dinner with him, with Steve Bannon.
Drop by the table?
Yeah, well, no, he lives close by. And the guy that I was having a beer with, the guy, Steve said, hey, I'd like to come over and just say hello. And sure, that's fine. He just sat down. We weren't having dinner, doing anything like that. I hate to use the phrase.
What if we were having dinner? I've had, what difference does it make? I'm with Bill Maher on this. What are we, in 8th grade? We're not sitting at the lunch table with these guys. We got these little cliques. And if you're not in the clique, you're on the outside looking in and we'll never speak to you again. It's ridiculous. It truly is. That's why, bottom line, this guy, if you're a Democrat and you want to, I guess, be competitive in 2028, and you don't want to look like a lunatic party, this is your guy right here, John Fetterman. You mark my words, this would be the way to go. Will they ever do it? Probably not. But if they were smart, this would be your guy. He's sensible. He's willing to listen to your side. I'm not saying I would agree with him. He's still a Democrat. He still wants to give everybody's money away. I haven't seen a Democrat yet that didn't want to do that. They're great at spending somebody else's money. But that aside, I'm talking about his overall, I guess, not appearance so much as the way he comes across. He comes across as normal. He really does. I kind of enjoy him. I enjoy listening to him. I enjoy watching him make the Democrats squirm because he doesn't vote the party line 100% of the time. That's great to me. That makes him attractive to me as far as politics are concerned. He strikes me as someone you could sit down, have a chat with. We've got a problem. We've got an issue. We need to solve it. I think this guy would really, in all honesty, be the guy you would want at the table to solve an actual problem. Even if we have opposing, views on the problem, I think you could compromise with this guy. Would you get everything you want? Absolutely not. That's not what we're there for. It's called compromise. I like this guy. I'm going to be following him. I love the fact that he doesn't vote the party line 100% of the time. It makes perfect sense. He's come out and said, the Democrats are out of their minds sometimes. I can't be a party to this. And they want him to pay the price. I really, really like this guy. So, end of the day, do you think the Democrats will do that? Absolutely not. They will not allow this guy anywhere near that. They won't. They want somebody that will toe the party line 100% of the time. Like Gavin Newsom, a J.D. Pritzker, Pete Buttigieg. He would be perfect. Chances are, I don't know that he'll get the nod. I don't know who's going to get the nod. It's still early, but AOC is thinking about running. I think you've probably seen this one. Yeah, here we go. Let me play this right quick. I'm gonna let's try this. I want to play this because this is pretty interesting.
Like you to run for president in 2028. There are others who would like you to run for the United States Senate. What say you about all of this?
You know, it's funny because in this op-ed that Jeff Bezos paid for in the Washington Post.
Actually, it's not funny at all. It's sad. She says that a lot. She's a barmaid. I mean, is she attractive? Of course. That's going to help her. Believe me, if she had a face of a shoe, she wouldn't be in this position. Not a chance. Not a chance. Because that's her only. That's the only thing AOC has going for her. She's not ugly. Is she beautiful? No. She's a 6, maybe 6.5. I mean, come on. At 2:00 in the morning, you take her home at the bar. Other than that, I mean, come on. Give me a break. But listen to this. Listen to what she says. She's going to make fun of Jeff Bezos right now. He's dismissing her as a candidate. So listen to this. As she flicks her hair.
There's this line that you had mentioned earlier.
Sure.
About, well, as a potential 2028 contender, XYZ. And in the context of that, it was very clear this was a veiled threat, right? So the elite saying.
You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of a 13-year-old girl who's trying to convince someone, her parents, that she should be allowed to go to this party. That's what she strikes me as. She's not, you can't take this woman seriously in anything. I mean, what the other day she was claiming that the Constitution and the founding fathers, the reason the country was founded because it was to get away from and to fight billionaires. She's so stupid. No one on her staff knows anything about history, apparently. John Hancock, who signed the Declaration of Independence in gigantic, letters. Remember John Hancock? That's why they say put your John Hancock on this. He was one of the richest guys in America at the time. All of these guys were. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, they were all rich. These people that are running her campaign, her office, they're dumber than she is. And that's saying something, because listen.
If you want this job, you just stepped out of line. And we want you to know where the real power is. And it's in the modern day barons who own the Post and own the algorithms, and we'll make an example out of you. And what's funny about that?
There's nothing funny about that, AOC, because what you said just doesn't make any sense. You didn't toe the line. You toed the line more than anyone. The problem is you're an idiot. That's the problem. That's what Jeff Bezos meant. You stepped out of line. You're a moron, and that'll do it. I mean, if you're dumber than Kamala Harris, you've got some serious issues here. So anyway, listen to the rest of this.
Is that they assume that my ambition is positional.
Do you hear what she just said? They assume that her ambitions are positional. That statement makes no sense. What else would it be other than positional? You're not going to have any influence if you're the dog catcher in a town. You happen to be a congressman. So the next step up would be Senate or maybe running for president. She's dead from the neck up.
They assume that my ambition is a title or a seat.
Of course it is.
And
what do you
my ambition is way bigger than that.
Way bigger than that. What would be bigger than
my
that?
ambition is to change this country.
Mm-hmm.
And
listen to this. Listen to that applause. He's giving applause. How dumb are these people in this audience?
Presidents.
This woman is a moron. She makes no sense. If she made sense and had some valid ideas, I may be willing to listen. But she's a loon. And look at this. Look at this crowd.
Come and go. Senate, House seats, elected officials, come and go. But single payer health care is forever. A living wage is forever. Workers' rights are forever. Women's rights, all of that. And so, anyways, the way, but to a finer point to your question is that when you aren't attached, right? When you haven't been like fantasizing about being this or that since the time you were 7 years old, it is tremendously liberating.
Oh my God. I can't even keep her on here. She's look, I don't think God's got a good enough sense of humor that he would allow her to even get anywhere near the nomination or run for president. But did you hear the people applauding? From what I understand, she's running fourth as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, and who may run in 2028. She's in fourth place. How stupid does a party have to be to actually think that this woman is a viable candidate to run the president, to become the president of the United States and run the most powerful country in the world? I mean, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. Will it happen? I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. I would say there's probably a better chance of her running for president and possibly winning her party's nomination than John Fetterman. Now, compare the two now. Compare the two. Look at her. Look at her sitting there. Look at this. Look at this. Look at her sitting there. Do you take her seriously? Or do you take John Fetterman seriously? I can't believe it's even a question, honestly. I really can't. This woman has a possibility. I mean, she became a congressman. This woman has the possibility of putting together a campaign to run for president of the United States. This woman. I can't believe I live in a country that's possible. I really can't. I can't believe it. But well, we'll talk about this much more between now and, the next presidential election. But if I was in charge of the Democratic Party, if I was the head of the DOC, if I was the head of the, any organization that was going to donate money, I would say, listen, if you want to win this, or if you even want to have a chance, you run John Fetterman. So simple. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to hear. I love hearing your opinions. Let me know. See if you disagree. If you disagree, bring it on down. I'd love to hear it. And be sure, whatever you do, if you would, like and subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Makes me feel like maybe that I should continue doing this. Okay? All right, boys and girls, time to move on, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
A little bit of crazy, but a whole lot of right. You're listening to the Average Joe Podcast with Damon Gilbert.